I can't believe it's been already day 10 from our course. If you're still here from the beginning, I really appreciate your support and I truly hope you are learning with me. You may find some things hard to understand or put in practice, but don't worry. Practice makes progress, and the more you practice, the more you will feel confident in your work. The same happened to me and it happens to everyone. So keep up motivated and you can do it. So today we will learn about color grading and you don't want to miss this. We will find here how to make our photos pop with some creative tools that we have in Photoshop. So without further ado, let's move to Photoshop. The first technique is split gradient, and for this we will use the image 01 from our project folder located in Day 10 folder. With your image open, the first thing to do is to create a gradient map. A gradient map is a simple map which maps the colors of highlights and shadows and every color in between. First of all, click on the adjustment layer icon and click on Gradient Map. Now take a closer look at the properties panel in the right side. We have a bar here that in the right hand side it's white and left hand side is black. So any color that's on the right will be the highlights and colored with that color. And in the other side will be the shadows, and any color on that will be colored with the selected tool. So if we click in the slider, we can click here and in the white and change it to another color, like blue for example. And the shadows in yellow. And look, the highlights are now blue and the shadows are now yellow. You can also create as many points you want. So for example, here I will click to add a new color and make it orange. And this is basically what gradient maps are. But what if you don't want to pick colors and try some random ones? You can change the type from solid to noise and adjust the roughness to 5%. And now you can use this magic by click the randomize button to generate the different color gradients. You may notice that some gradients make the image almost in two tones, and here we can have the help from blend modes. Go to blend modes and change it from normal and try some ones like soft light. You can also adjust the opacity to get the effect you want. Let's use 38% for example, and now open again the slider modal and play around with the randomize button. Now imagine that I want this effect, but I only want this color for the shadows and not for the highlights. Let's double click in the right hand side of the layer and this will open up the layer style dialog box. Now go into blend if options. We are going to take out the gradient of the brighter areas from the underlying layer or any layer that lies under it. So let's move the white slider to the left, but as you can notice, the color is harsh, so hold option and drag only the left slider to make the transition smoother, and take the right slider more to the right hand side. At any time you can double click again and edit the slider. Now let's create a duplicate of the shadows and do the opposite blend if to use the highlights. So move all the white sliders to the right and now adjust the black slider as you need. Now, if you're happy with the results, click on the gradient slider to open up the gradient editor and play around with randomize button to select another gradient tone. You can also randomize the gradient for the shadows. Just select the layer and click the gradient and randomize again. Then just play around with the opacity to get the different results. And there you go, you have a simple color grade. Now, Do you want to make it to the next level by add shine and fake? Let's use some curves. Do you remember curves from the adjustments video? Let's click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose curves. Let's start with the highlights. Drag the white slider here on the right to the left and you notice the image is becoming more brighter. Then double click on the layer and use the blend if dark sliders to only have the highlights. And there you have it. This is the before and look at the after. So cool, right? Now let's add some fade. Create another curves adjustment layer from the same icon, but this time let's do the opposite. Let's use the shadow slider and move it up, and you can also add an extra point here to adjust more the fade you want, and then if you want, use again blend if options. Now let's group all our effects and adjust the opacity so that you'll get the result you want. Alright, let's move to our second image and another technique. In this one we will use image grading. So I prepared already two images for you. One with a girl and another with a sunset. Drag the sunset over our subject image, and with the help of transform tool, let's increase the size of the image to something like this. Now go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur and set the radius to 200 pixels to make a smooth gradient. Now just simply open blend modes drop down and select soft light. Following along our last image, let's say you don't want to have this sunset color in the shadows, so let's take it from the shadows. Let's double click on the right hand side of the layer and play around with the blend if options by drag the shadows to the right side of the slider, hit Command or Control to break apart and move only one cursor. If you want to make this more intense, you can duplicate the layer by hit Command or Control J and add a new layer, and now you can use a gradient to add more intensity where you want. Now if you look carefully, you may notice that the original color scheme might look like it's going away from its original tones. So, to have them back, duplicate the background layer and move it to the top in the Layers panel. Then, let's go to Quick Select tool and hold to open and select Subject Selection tool, and then if you look carefully to the top of our control panel, we can click on Select Subject and wait for Photoshop to select the subject for us. It's just great. Now that we have our subject selected, let's isolate it from the background. And for that, let's add a layer mask on it, right here. After that, change the blend mode from normal to color, which is what we are trying to recover, and adjust the opacity for something around 50%. And there you go. Let's move on to the next image and technique. Let's see how it works, the adaptive presets. To work with this, you need to have at least Adobe CC. I'm using 2023 version in this video. With our image 03 open, the one with the woman, let's duplicate the layer and then go to filter and select Camera Raw filter. Now, there's the advantage of having the latest version of Adobe. They allow us to have a lot of presets, but now they are not the usual presets. The adaptive presets can be, as the name says, adaptive to different parts of the image. But let's go and see how they really work in practice. They are incredible. Okay, let's take a closer look at this Camera Raw dialog box. In the right hand side, if you click in this icon for open filter, you might see the standard presets that we normally have, and you can see that we have tons of them. You have your regular presets for skin, seasons, creative, portraits, and you can use them for whatever work you need. So for example, let's go with travel and choose one from it that I would like. Notice that when I'm moving over each preset, the image is already showing a preview of the result in the image. I think I'm gonna choose TR01 for this video. Then you can also increase or decrease the amount of the preset. For example, let's use 110. Now here's the real moment that you were waiting for. If you scroll up and pay close attention, you may notice these presets called adaptive for portrait, adaptive sky, adaptive subject. Let's open subject, and what this will do, it's only apply the preset to the subject. Look how amazing this is. Can you imagine how much help this is for us? Make subject pop, warm pop, soft, cool soft, so many possibilities. Let's use pop for this example and make it more popped by increase here the slider. It's incredible. Now let's do even more changes. Zoom into the face of our subject and open adaptive portrait now. You can enhance the portrait, you can make it polished. If you want, you can enhance only the eyes, look at it, without making any selection. It's impressive. Let's do also for teeth. Brilliant. Let's polish also our subject, and there you go. Now let's say you want to add some vignetting. You go all the way down and select vignetting, and you can set light, medium or heavy. Let's select heavy, and you can now control the amount you want. But let's keep it 100. Do you want also some film grain? No problem, just open here the grain drop down and select again from light, medium and heavy. Let's apply some light grain and decrease the amount of it to be subtle. And now, if you still feel the need to adjust some colors because you feel this is too warm, you can go up to the top and click here in this icon called Edit section, and you can adjust more attributes here like the highlights, shadows and plenty of other attributes. Now you are thinking, okay, I've created this preset and I need to apply in more 10 or 100 images from a collection. Do I need to do it from the beginning? No, you can save your own presets. Just click here on these three dots and select Create Preset. It will appear this dialog box where you can type the name for your preset, select the group you want to place it, and make sure you pay attention to what boxes are selected, because that will contain all the information you want to be saved. Just hit OK, and now let's see where we can find these presets that we've just created. Go to filter icon, and now on top of the list you can see here user presets, and if I open, I have now my recently created presets. And the best, you can also increase or decrease the amount of this preset in the image. This is just fantastic. Now let's try with another example. Duplicate your layer and go up to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. Now for this image, let's try something different and go to Seasons, Autumn, and then select maybe TM04. Let's say I want to change a little bit our sky because it looks washed out. Go up to Adaptive Sky and look at this. You can add blue drama, dark drama and other presets to your sky. Amazing. Let's add some blue drama but decrease the amount to 85. Next, let's make some changes in our subject, make them pop just a little bit by selecting soft and then add some vignetting to our image. And bam, here's the before and after. You can go again, adjust the edit section sliders, and for example, let's open color mixer and add some yellows and increase the aquas to something you like, and there we go. You can have so much fun by using this. Now let's go to another technique, the ACR grading. If you want to manually pick the colors of the highlights, midtones and shadows, let's play with this technique. With your image open, start by duplicate it by pressing Command or Ctrl J and convert it for Smart Object by going to the menu or right click in the layer and select Convert to Smart Object. Now go to Filter and select Camera Raw Filter. Okay, here when it opens the dialog box, you can go to the right side and open the color grading menu. Here you can adjust the midtones, shadows and highlights, but first of all, let's adjust the lightness of each level. So set the lightness of midtones, let's try out to increase. Then the shadows, we can make them a little bit darker. And at last the highlights, let's move it to the left. Now let's set the colors. And in this step, you need to pay close attention to the color wheel. So the more this circle is away from the center, the more saturated is the color. And if you move around the circle, it will change the hue. So remember, hue is the color we are selecting and saturation is how much intensity of that color we get. And after you pick to the hue and saturation, you can adjust again the lightness. So in this case, I want to make that deep blue-green tone in the image, so I'll try to move the sliders to my liking. Now, a cool control that you can use is if you hold Command or Control, the saturation is locked. It creates this circle line around, and if you move it, only slides in that line to change the hue. And then you can drag around to which color you want. If you hold the Shift key, it will lock the hue and the saturation will move. This is so powerful when you are editing in detail. Okay, now let's move to our last image and technique of this video. We're moving on to selective color. Open up image 05 from project folder and now go down to new adjustment layer and add selective color. With this technique, you are targeting the color you select. For example, here I want to change the reds. I can decrease the amount of cyan, for example. Now in the whites, I could change the black slider, for example, and increase yellows to make the image a bit warmer. Let's check the before and after. And if I want to target the neutral colors and decrease the cyans and increase magentas to pop the hair, you get the point. With selective color, you are working in the color range your target. Now let's convert the image to smart objects to add some extra grading. Command Option E or Control Alt Shift E to create a merged layer of all layers in the document, and then right click in the layer and select Convert to Smart Object. Then go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter to open this Camera Raw dialog box, and here you can select from a set of default presets, and since we have our photo in portrait, we can go to Portrait, Presets, and select from light skin, medium or deep skin. In this case, let's go for medium skin PM05, and you know that you can increase or decrease the amount of this preset in your image. Let's also go to Adaptive Portrait and enhance the eyes, and also the teeth. And there you go. Look at the before and after. Pretty cool, right? And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. When we are talking about color grading, we can have so many techniques to do it. Explore these possibilities and other ones to see what best fits your images. And this was the episode 10 of our 10-day series. It was supposed to be the last one for this series, but I have something more for you. It's pretty nice to know the tools individually, but I think I can also share with you some hints about how to best match fonts, colors, and visual hierarchy for you to create your works. You are now prepared to rock the world, so stay tuned for the next video because it will worth. Thank you so much for being here, supporting this series and the channel, and I really hope you enjoy and learn something in these 10 days. Thank you and have a great day, and I see you in the next video.